This tutorial will give you insight into the different node types in Autodesk VRED Professional, with examples closer illustrating some of the functionality. We have the possibility in the Scenegraph menu within the Scenegraph to create different node types. Please open the Scenegraph over the Quick Access toolbar and call up the Scenegraph menu by clicking into the editor with the right mouse button. In the sub-item Create, we find a selection of different nodes which are of meaning to a structured workflow. A group node combines multiple objects to a group and therefore allows the selection and transformation of all objects subordinate to this group. When transformations are performed, the group itself changes to a specialized form of group node, namely into a transform node. In the following, we will group the tires and wheels of our example scene to better be able to structure our data. Furthermore, we will create a material group and get to know its functions. Now, create two groups and rename them to Tire and Rim. Subordinate the just created group to the Wheels group. To do so, select the Rim and Tire group and pull them per drag and drop onto the Wheels group. Now, please activate the bounding box in the icon bar. Select all 4 tires in our scene with the help of Shift and Control and the left mouse button to then drag and drop them onto our tire group. Now, hold down Control and select in your Scenegraph all rim objects by clicking on each one. Subordinate the selected rims via drag and drop to the group node called Rim. As next step, with a right click in the Scenegraph, we will create a material group and subordinate the tire group to it. A material group transfers the material assigned to it onto all subordinated objects, wherein the original material of the geometry is just suspended and not deleted. To illustrate this more concisely, we open up the Material editor over the Quick Access toolbar. Create a new plastic material with the Create Convert menu by selecting Plastic in the sub-item Create Material. We leave the material in its raw state and assign it to our material group. That is achieved by selecting the material with the left mouse button held down and dragging it onto the created material group. As you can see, the tire material changes to the plastic material we assigned. However, once we remove our tire group from the material group, the originally to the geometry assigned material is used. Please select the tire group and move it next to the material group that is now no longer subordinated to it, and thus the material change becomes visible. In the following, we want to look at what functions Autodesk VRED supplies to create different variants of geometry. For this, we can utilize the so-called switch node, which controls the visibilities of geometry. This node sets the object subordinated to it to visible, while all other objects are rendered invisible. We will create a switch node for the front left wheel to explain this function with an example. First, we need a different geometry, in this case, a wheel variation that was already imported. Open the Scenegraph menu with the right mouse button in our Scenegraph and create via the sub-item Create a switch node. Rename the node to Rim Switch FL. Then subordinate the original wheel and newly imported wheel geometry to it. This can be undertaken by selection and the consequent moving by holding down the left mouse button. As you've noticed, both geometries are hidden because we have to communicate to Autodesk VRED which of the both variations should be displayed. We need to make use of the variance editor, which can be reached in the main menu under Scene Variants. To get our created Rim Switch FL node to be displayed, drag and drop your switch node into the variance editor. Another way to achieve this would be by accessing the variance menu with a right-click in the variance editor. After selecting Clear, choose Create All. Our created switch node properties become visible, and in the bottom right area of the editor we can switch between both the variations by double-clicking on them. The currently selected becomes visible, while the unselected will be invisible. In the upcoming tutorial we will get to know the clone node a little closer.